What's up, y'all? Empress Ari here, back at you once again in another video. I hope all is well with you today. In this video, let's discuss interacting with people after going through a spiritual awakening. So much about you will naturally change after you go through a spiritual awakening. Many things about your personality and your interests will change. You might start saying different things. You might start eating different things, listening to different types of music, and making all different types of life choices. Most people only upgrade their devices, but you went through a nice spirit upgrade, which is great for many reasons. But it does leave some things unclear and left for you to figure out, like interacting with people. When initially interacting with people after a spiritual awakening, things can get really weird really fast. And it can make you immediately want to run back into isolation as fast as you possibly can in effort to protect yourself and protect your energy. After being in isolation for a period of time, at first, it may have been hard, but then, for many people, it becomes almost addictive, and it gets hard to want to include other people in your world again. So it's crucial to take the time to find balance with your alone time and remember that you still matter to other people in the world. How you choose to understand and live out this situation is going to be the new normal for your life. You went through a spiritual upgrade and you can't help but to see things differently now. There's no turning back. Please understand that what happened with your spirit will forever change the dynamic of all of your relationships. Not knowing how to interact with people will have you very closed off and for very long periods of time. Going around other people is going to be a lot different for you now because you're a lot more intuitive now. Your discernment has been activated. All of your senses have been heightened. You are very easily able to see people for exactly who they are. And when you're around people, it seems like all their flaws are just poking out at you. I know I definitely went through this when I went through my spiritual awakening back in 2019. I felt the spiritual shift. It was very intense, yet very healing for me. For many people, you don't immediately notice changes in yourself first. It's like you notice changes in other people first. You might notice yourself mentally judging people. I really struggle with this after my awakening because at first I didn't realize that they couldn't see what I could see. And me now being able to see straight through people was the biggest indication for me that I had even went through a spiritual awakening because I really didn't even know that's what had happened to me. All I know is I started to see people and things differently. I would be around people and I would just be looking around like, what's going on? Why is everybody like this? What is this? Am I in the Twilight Zone right now? What is going on? I started thinking judgmental, egotistical type of stuff like, dang, such and such, they kind of slow. I mean, I wasn't trying to think thoughts like that, but these are things, judgmental thoughts that would just come to me. I would just be thinking like, what is wrong with them? Why would they do things in that way? Why would they make that life choice? It was quite overwhelming for me. In fact, it was so overwhelming that I couldn't even stay long. I would go visit people and I would notice that within 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, I would be ready to go. just because of them just being themselves. And them just being themselves, not realizing how much it was mentally triggering me to egotistically judge them. Many times this would happen because many of those people were straight up toxic individuals. But sometimes that would happen because I was judging too much. This is the ego. Don't let your ego creep up on you like that. See, sometimes you got to check yourself. It's all right to check yourself sometime when you really need to help stop judging people that aren't where you are spiritually. Simply choose to see your past self in them. You can immediately stop yourself in your tracks by humbly remembering that at one point in your life, you may have been blind to some things. You may have been extra tolerant of some things, or just didn't know how to deal with certain things, even as an adult, before your spiritual awakening. Certain things that the today you would think is obviously common sense for everyone, but you will realize the need to show compassion, love, and understanding because it's not common sense for everyone, which you will quickly discover if you haven't already. When you are interacting with someone not as spiritually inclined as you, it's important to just meet them where they're at and accept them for where they're at. Acceptance is key because you must accept that you can't force people to be where you are spiritually, and it's not your job to make them. It's their choice to make, if ever. Your transition can even be intimidating to some people. And you might notice that some of them are acting funny and starting to distance themselves from you. This is because they know that you've changed and they don't really know how to interact with you anymore. Your energy is so strong and your vibration is so high that it can get almost scary to be around for some people who aren't sure of who they are. When you notice this is going on with certain people, and keywords, certain people, try to sometimes take the initiative with that particular relationship just to kind of let them know that y'all are still good even with your recent changes. I say this because people see how you've been changing things up in terms of people in your life lately. Many people see that you've been cutting people out of your life left and right. So you have people literally walking on eggshells because they don't want to be next. In addition to that, you're here to see how to interact with them after your spiritual awakening. But let's keep it real. Let's flip the script for a second. How do you think it is interacting and being around you after your spiritual awakening? So they could just be distancing themselves because they really don't know how to be around you anymore. You've changed so much. So when you choose to take the initiative, it just lets people know where they stand with you. And it lets them know that you don't suddenly feel above them. This just evens the playing field and lets them know that you're still humble and you don't somehow think that you're better than them because you have went through a spiritual awakening and they haven't. It's not about you catering to anyone's insecurities. It just helps them feel like they have a place and a purpose in your life and they do belong. They just need that extra confirmation from you to help ease their minds. They will be looking for this from you and even needing this from you without even realizing it. They really need this because, like I said, you're not the same. Hanging with you today is not the same as it was a year or two ago. So it just lets them know what's up when you take the initiative. Understand the purpose of the interaction of each individual person. Move accordingly to connect with them on their spiritual level without putting the load on your back of thinking that you have to upgrade their spirit for them. Don't worry about all of the relationships that will fall off during this process because that was supposed to happen. And the new relationships that you will be forming in the near future will be of much more quality and feel more fulfilling instead of feeling depleted and drained like you used to feel when you would be around those other people that dropped out of your life. Because after being around certain people for just one day can leave you feeling so drained that you need a whole week or two just to recharge. It can get tricky and it will require your best judgment because there's such a fine line with your people selection choices after going through a spiritual awakening. You must remember that you are what you hang around. And if you're constantly reminded and influenced with past life habits and past life choices, then you will probably just keep seesawing yourself between what's best for you and what's not. Being spiritually inclined and aware is not for the weak. With that being said, let's face it, there are some relationships that you have outgrown. Some people were not meant to be in your life all your life. Some people need to be cut off after your spiritual awakening, expeditiously too, like right now. Some toxic people will naturally fall off themselves after they feel your shift. But there are still some great people to keep in your life for many reasons. They should not be excluded due to their spiritual level. Many spiritually inclined people feel like they should only associate themselves with like minds. And you are certainly not wrong for wanting to be around more like minds as you feel it will suit your journey best. But you will leave the opportunity for a lot of other insightful relationships on the table by excluding people based on their spiritual maturity. A person that hasn't necessarily experienced a spiritual awakening can still very much so still be a valuable person to have in your life. You can still learn things from them and you can still share some really great experiences. You should embrace the different levels that you and the people that you interact with are all on so that y'all can coexist in a loving setting together to share some new life experiences. Many people won't be able to understand you during this transition, and you will feel a sense of disconnection from many that you know. So remember at all times to be your own best friend. However, get excited about the new interactions and the new connections that you will be forming with some people that you already know and some new ones. But rest assured, you will find your people or they will find you. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back soon. Peace.